would like to talk about our fireside chat today. The FMCG and consumer goods sectors are among the fastest moving industries in the world, defined by agility, innovation, and the ability to respond to consumers in real time. In such an environment, experience becomes the greatest teacher. The leaders who succeed are those who have learned not just from experience, but through it. So today, this fireside chat brings together HR and L&D leaders from two different organizations to discuss how experiential learning can be intentionally designed to build future-ready leadership capability, which is the need of the hour. As we go ahead, this conversation amongst three of us will explore how organizations can turn business challenges into learning opportunities. We'll also look at bridging the gap between operations and consumer insight and fostering leadership agility through cross-functional hands-on exposure. Also embedding learning by doing into the DNA of leadership development. So here I am. Today we are to introduce the two accomplished HR leaders, and we are going to indulge in a very interesting chat with these two leaders who bring diverse yet complementary perspectives from across the sector, spanning nutrition, manufacturing, people strategy, and cultural transformation. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Yashwant there. Welcome, Yashwant. Yashwant serves as the Vice President, Group HR at Hexagon Nutrition Private Limited, a global leader in the health and nutrition space. With over 2 decades of experience in HR strategy, manufacturing excellence, and organizational development, he has successfully led multiple greenfield and transformation projects. His deep understanding of how hands-on, cross-functional learning builds leadership agility in highly regulated yet innovation-driven environments makes his perspective invaluable for today's chat. I also have Mr. S. N. Mohan Kumar. Good evening, Mohan, and welcome.
Very good evening, Avni. Thank you.
Welcome. Joining us is Mr. S. N. Mohan Kumar, the Assistant General Manager, People and Culture at Redsel India, which is a global name in the food processing industry. Mr. Kumar brings rich experience in HR operations, learning culture, and employee engagement. He has been instrumental in implementing practical, high-impact experiential learning practices that help managers grow through real-world exposure rather than classroom theory. And his insights on building leadership and culture within mid-sized FMCG organizations will be adding tremendous depth to our chat, to our conversation today. Thank you so much both for being with us today. Let us begin this by setting the context. So as you know, we spoke about the FMCG sector. It is fast-paced and ever-evolving. In your view, why has experiential learning become such a critical lever for building future-ready leaders, especially in this space?
So I would like to express my point of view on this. So, experiential learning is absolutely crucial in today's context because as leaders, we come across multiple challenges in our respective businesses as well as functions. And then most of the time, driving cross-functional efforts, cross-locational, cross-geographies, all depends on which organization and role you are put in, basically. So, and then as leaders, your role is not only to face the situation, address the challenges at hand. At the same time, we have to drive the people. So, learning by experience, and so experience is, as we look at it in a simple terms, is not that what we experience, but what we learn from experience matters. So every challenge business face, and then we address as a team or as an individual, we come across various experiences basically, and then through that experience we learn. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. At the same time, as a leader, we need to figure it out. And that's where our leadership to drive the team efforts is important. Again, every challenge has different aspects basically. For example, if I take an example of say an automotive company like say Hero Motocorp or Mahindra where I have worked. So if I give example of Mahindra and Mahindra where I was part of the R&D HR, we used to have cross-functional teams, three platforms: Horizon 1, Horizon 2, and Horizon 3. So Horizon 1 was dealing with all the minor changes in the existing products. A cross-functional team comprising of design engineers, purchase engineers, sourcing, finance, accounts, all sitting co-located together, and they are working on those challenges. The challenges the company used to face on the existing tractors being sold to farmers or customers, and the challenges they are facing specific to design. The team was to respond back very quickly and deliver it on the shop floor so that the challenge, the customer complaint is resolved on the field. There is another team wherein one of the aggregate of the tractor, like engine, hydraulics, overall tractor or transmission, will be totally redesigned and in a given span of time, so that before competition the product is available in the market. And the third team was basically leading to the totally new tractor. So while driving such projects, the experience of each and every project you drive generates a lot of learning. As I said, even at design stage or maybe in production stage, there are some challenges we face, and then we collectively resolve them, and that's where the individual as well as functional and organizational learning builds. I can give an example. When I joined Mahindra in 2000, at that time the new product development cycle time for Mahindra was 5.5 years. A tractor totally to be indigenously designed used to take 5.5 years. But over a period of next 2 to 3 years of applying the learning, it was brought down to only 18 months. So that's the power of Ivy Link experiential learning. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Yashwant. And you're absolutely right when you're talking about the fact that it's not only to face the situation, but also to drive our people forward. And leadership today is really about turning challenges into learning opportunities. And as you said, sometimes we fail, and that's okay. What matters is how resilient we are, how we bounce back, and how we guide our teams through any uncertainty, and how we keep collective effort and purpose alive. And thank you so much for relating it with the examples that you shared. Moving to Mohan. Mohan, would you like to help us understand this better?
Yeah. See, experiential learning is very critical right now. Being an FMGC, it's a competitive market. There are two regions which we compete. One is the price market. It's more of a consumer based. One is the quality market where we sell our products on a quality base where the little bit price is higher. But when a leader understands the pulse of the customer, that is very much important. It's the FMCG sector is very dynamic. It changes rapidly. Being in a food processing industry where we come from agri-based background, it's again depend upon the climate, the demand, the geopolitical issues that get rapidly changes. It changes day by day. So the business leader need to concentrate and shift its attention based on the requirement, gain hands-on experience to understanding the challenges what we face. The very recent day, I think I can quote the example of a COVID where, as a FMDC, I have experienced the leaders which they took the initiative in ensuring the operation has to run very smoothly, because the raw material what we procure from the market is perishable, and we cannot store it for too long. So the leaders who are there in the system took the initiative of leading a particular aspect of the operation, and they ensure that the operation was running very smooth. So being agile in the work nature, being flexible when it's required, and take a decision when it's really matter. I think that's exceptional experimental learning what a leader need to practice in FFD sector, which I believe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing these thoughts. You have mentioned about how we need to be agile. Talking from the point of view of an experiential learning, you rightly pointed out that FMCG is highly competitive, driven by pricing pressures and rapidly changing consumer demands and preferences. So leaders in this space have to stay attuned to the pulse of the consumer, constantly adapting, shifting their focus based on the emerging needs, and of course, demonstrating true agility in their decision. Thank you again, Mohan. Well, here I'd also like to start, by asking you, if you look at the leaders, you admire most in the FMCG sector, what do you think are the kind of experiences that made them who they are today? So, if possible, if there is, you know, a quick story or a quick anecdote that
Yeah,
reminds
yeah,
of certain leaders, and if you can add it, it'll be a great learning for us.
sure,
Yes.
sure. I would like to share one of the leader who I really admire, and he's like a mentor and guru to me. Is his name is Dr. Sangram Tambe. I worked with him at Mahindra and Mahindra almost for 6.5 years. So what I observed, in addition to head of HR at Mahindra and Mahindra farm equipment sector or tractor, he also took an additional responsibility of a business unit head for engine applications business. So if you look at the Mahindra tractors, the engine is the core strength of Mahindra's. And then uh, thinking beyond tractor, a new concept, a new business unit was established called engine applications. And there where Sangram took an additional role as a business leader, basically, in addition to as a business HR. So I think that was a very good example where the leader can go beyond the function in the interest of the organization. And I'm happy and feel proud to say that the business under Sangram leadership grew almost 250 to 300% year on year. So that was the growth he could demonstrate at that point in time. A couple of things what I observed, learned from him basically. Even he was also leading the major organizational change program Mahindra Tractors has underwent between 2000 to 2006 called organizational development program called Vishwajit, where the entire organization was restructured. So he was leading that initiative as well. Parallelly, he was leading this as a business unit. So I think driving multiple challenges of the business and delivering on both accounts is what something I have learned. One more thing, his unique style was any HR initiative, he will first get the buy-in from the business leaders. He will once we get the buy-in from them, then that becomes their program, and HR remains as more of a process facilitator. You don't end up, you don't face any resistance. So that was a very unique style, but that also require you to present it as a business case, which is again a skill in itself. I think these are some of the good qualities I have learned from Dr. Sangram, and I really admire him. Yeah.
Great, great, great to hear that. Thank you, Yashwant. It is interesting to hear, about Dr. Sangram Tamde because, leaders who do take on additional responsibilities, going beyond their functional roles to drive business growth, navigating multiple challenges, as you mentioned, and despite that, delivering strong results on both fronts. Also securing buy-in as needed from the leaders across the organization, is definitely a true example. Moving to Mohan. Mohan, would you like to share, who is a leader who has inspired you?
The different leaders comes with different style of working. Some of the leaders are aggressive, which had seen in my previous experience. Some of the leaders believe in delegation. Some of the leaders believe in flexibility. Some of the leaders believe in work-life balance. Aggressive leader I've seen when I was in PepsiCo, where a leader was so aggressive that he was ensuring that the aggressiveness gives the productivity. That was the style he was working. The leader which I have right now, Mr. Patrice January, who is leading the India and Sri Lanka operation both. He's a leader who believes in hiring a skilled resource who is more skilled than him. So his strategy is different. You need to have a very good skill who will need to lead the departments. They must be knowing the core of their department so that he will not get involved in day-to-day routine. Give them maximum flexibility so that they will be held accountable. So he will not do the micromanaging. He will do maximum is the macromanaging. He will only ask the result, not going to the detail what has been done. So that kind of leadership we have seen. He ensures the people are given work-life balance. Uh, he has a very good policy saying that whenever you are on a leave or a weekly off, don't call me. If there's an emergency, you call. Otherwise, you don't call me. So that same practice has been cascaded into the entire system. So if there is an emergency, we get call. Otherwise, nobody will disturb during your weekends or during your holidays. Those kind of culture where people will feel valued, where people feel that they are being motivated, where people feel that they have the opportunity to grow, putting their skills, have opportunity to experiment. Those is the platform where he creates and brings a lot of skill from the people who have been working with him. So that is the learning which I always admire with Patrice. He keep quiet. He's a shy guy who doesn't want to go in front of a mic and speak 100 words. He keeps quiet, but ensures that the work is happening as per the organization requirement. So that style is, some of them will say these leaders must be expressive. They need to talk, they need to express you, they need to, uh, you know, uh, uh, they need to, brief out the requirement, but he believes in being silent and get the work done. So I admire the leadership style of Mr. Patrice, who generally believes people capabilities and he ensures that the results are being driven with those capabilities.
Thank you, Mohan. And yes, I think in our careers, we have come across various kinds of leaders, like you rightly said. Some could be micromanagers, some could be aggressive, some could be leaders who share a lot, and some could be leaders who prefer staying silent. And yet, at the end of the day, if they are making the lives of the people they're working with, making them feel valued, ensuring they have a work-life balance, like you mentioned. Nobody's going to disturb them on the weekends. When that is there, the employees feel valued, and they feel that they will be able to contribute the maximum. And I think that is when the productivity can also be seen in various formats. This brings me to my next question. That while we spoke about interesting leaders that we admire, um, experiential learning, as we discussed as we started this chat, is very critical anywhere and any industry in any sector. But since we are here from FMCG today, I would really want to understand that why do we think that experiential learning is particularly critical in an industry like FMCG? Because as you also mentioned, Mohan and Yashman, that the consumer preferences are shifting rapidly. The pricing is needs to keep we need to keep a tab on that. The markets are so fast, and everything is ever evolving. How do you think experiential learning contributes, and how is it critical?
Yeah, so I would like to relate with FMCG because that is the context basically. So when you say FMCG, it's a fast-moving consumer goods, which is driven by the fast-moving customer needs, which are changing faster than we anticipate, right? So if you look at it, the customer contact employees are most critical aspect of such organization because they interact directly with the customers, and those functions which are direct customer contact functions become the overall driving force or leading force within the organization, and all other functions align with them because there where the value is created in the organization. So while it's a cross-functional interaction, but customer contact functions becomes more crucial. So experience the learning is more critical over here because every interaction with the customer is a learning. Whether it's a good, bad, or ugly experience for the customer, there is a deep learning involved. So I remember again while working at Hero Motocorp as initially as the head of their R&D center at Jaipur and followed by the manufacturing plant head. So even for HR function, there was a customer orientation training which was provided wherein you are supposed to be working in a dealership for one day and observing interactions with the customers. When they buy or when they don't buy, that is number one. And you are also required to interact with the customer relationship team wherein they face the irritated customers basically. So what are their challenges and then how to address them. I think these are some of the initiatives which helps even the non-customer contact functions to better relate with the organizational needs, and then it also helps what sort of skills and competencies are required for such people when we recruit them, when we train them, when we develop them. So that level of sensitivity will only come when you yourself go and experience those challenges. I think it's very essential. That's how I look at it basically.
Thank you, Yashwant. Mohan, could we move on to you? Why do you feel that experiential learning is critical, especially in FMCG?
Okay. See, whenever we do a training, we learn and forget. Simple, because it's a theory. It's not experience. Experience gives you the real feel of what you are doing. As a manufacturing, as a FMGC sector, where it's not only we deal with customers, we deal with machines as well. So machines means learning them, operating them, understanding the spares, understanding the maintenance, understanding part by part is very important for us. So when we do a training in a training room where we say 100 slides give us 100 information, but I don't believe people will be really concentrated on of after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they might not focus on the training and they might be thinking some other, they'll be in their own world. So when you have an experiential training, give a hands-on experience for the people who are associated with the organization. Like when we have a marketing team, we send them to the stores. Generally, we don't have the stores we sell our products because we are 100% EOU unit, but we send them to your QSRs like your McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Burger King. So those QSRs to understand the quality, understand the practicality or difficulty of a QSRs, how it works, how the product is used, how it is rejected, what are the things a customer decides before placing an order. Is it a price? Is it a quality? Is it a color? Is it a taste? What is the taste decided? Why the orders are being not placed to us? These are the in-depth study we want to give to the department. Uh, we also ensure that these people who are who hire, who recruit by us, go to the agri field, understand the crop, how it is grown. If you don't know the base, you cannot talk to a customer. You need to know the base, how it is grown, and how it is packed, and how it is sold. So those things we want an employee to experience by hand. So that is very important and very crucial. So that the communication, when you do a communication to a customer saying that this is a product I want to sell, when customer asks you 10 questions, he need to recall all the answers. So the theory will not give you the purpose. It's a practical thing. It's experiential learning what stores you a lot of input or the information within him, and he delivers the real answers when the customer asks. So I feel the experiential learning is a base for any resource to communicate and express, or when you want to go to learn. So this is very much important, which I feel.
Absolutely, very well put across, Mohan. You highlighted a very valid point that, we tend to learn and forget because much of our work in FMCG involves dealing with machines and processes. That's why understanding each aspect part by part becomes essential. And traditional training rooms with a 100-slide deck can help anyone lose focus. So yes, experiential learning, on the other hand, gives a hands-on understanding. Like you send your people to stores and QSRs to experience first-hand challenges of product usage and observe how customers make decisions before they buy or placing an order. So yes, and thanks Yashwant also, because this kind of in-depth ground level learning helps them truly understand the business from the base up. Uh, Great. I think we are moving ahead in the in the depths of the discussion today, and that actually takes me to a very interesting question on the lines of learning culture. The learning culture dimensions that again, many organizations we have seen have a lot of great leadership programs on paper, but when it comes to real learning, only few are able to truly create leadership classrooms at work. What do you think makes the difference here?
Yeah, I think as you rightly said, yes, many of the organization, if things remain more on paper, whether it's leadership or you talk about culture or systems, basically. So a simple way to look at it is basically follow 70-20-10 model, wherein the 70% focus is on the-job training, and then 20% is what is basically the peer level interactions, and then 10% is the classroom training. So these are simple framework which can be followed, but again it depends on how the leadership takes it forward. Okay, so I will give here again an example of Mahindra. I will go back to a few companies where I have worked with. So I remember when I joined in 2000, May 2000, the induction program also involved. So in a batch of 15 people joining at any level, any function at a location, will undergo a 1 week product training wherein on a particular day, all the 15 people divided into two teams, 16 people, need to dismantle the entire Mahindra tractor by their own hands under supervision. So you will dismantle the entire tractor and you have to reassemble the tractor. It has to work. It has to start when you reassemble it. Now, in a way, you are touching every nut and bolt of the tractor, every aggregate. Second day, you do it for the competition tractor. Third, next 2 days, you are on the shop floor where the tractor is manufactured. You will go through each and every stage of the shop floor and witness how exactly the product gets developed. Next 1 day you spend in the test labs where the tractor is tested for various simulation conditions. And then you go to field for 3 days where you yourself will drive the tractor under various field conditions, various implements attached to it. And then we spend 1 day in the showroom where the tractor is sold. Now, this gives you a complete experience of the product, okay? And this also shows, and then in a batch, there might be a vice president level person, there might be a trainee also who has joined. Someone may be from accounts, someone may be from IT, from any function. So this also communicates that the commitment which is given to learning and training in the organization. I think these are some of the examples which set the tone how learning can be taken seriously and those are driven in a proper manner.
Absolutely, Ashwant. I think what you're saying, it's a fascinating simulation around a tractor, where the participants actually reassemble each and every part and, put it all together. Then they're going on the shop floor, understanding each and every aspect. And that's also very similar to, vibe coding that we have, been hearing about recently. Because if you talk about a code, it's all about curiosity, about understanding how things work beneath the surface. You break it down, you test it, you experiment it, you rebuild it, and in this entire process, you discover smarter, faster ways of doing things. So that is, the true spirit of exploration. Getting your hands dirty or learning by doing.
Yeah.
So thank you for that wonderful example from you. Mohan, we would like to hear from you your thoughts, please.
See, most of the organization generally, the training depends upon the management style of work. Some of the organization feel that it's just expenses rather than opportunity of upskilling. Some of the organization makes good training calendar, but implementation will be very less. It's the training calendars are made for audit requirement, not for the practical need of a resources of the organization. I feel the organizations like what the when you say on the paper it looks good, but on the practical there is no results. Most of it we do it as a FMDC we do it because we work on a production base or on a demand base. Whenever we plan our training in off season or any other season when we have a lean crop, generally when the orders come, manufacturing or production units need to deliver those orders to the customers. That is where we need to make business. When I take a proposal of doing a training during that period, saying that this is a training I have organized, you keep aside the order, nobody will agree. The business will not agree. That is a challenge we as a FMDC we face because we work on a market demand. The process is based on the demand. But the paper, it looks good. It looks good. Yes, I accept it looks good. But on reality, it doesn't look good. We generally compare that to 40% of the training calendar, what has been mapped during the PMS process, where the managers or the employees self-nominate saying that we want to do this training, you organize this training, you want those kind of inputs they give generally through a PMS. But we are not compliant. Let us be very act factual, saying that we'll comply, we'll not give the fiction here. Actually saying we don't comply. What makes you to comply? What can be done? It's only thing is we are moving from a traditional training to a job-based training, which is a skilled training. Based on that, we organize training programs on the job, where a technician from a manufacturer or a senior most employee in the organization, we bring them to near the missionaries where the workers are operating. We ask them, you do a back to basic training, where the employee has been given opportunity, where he will be explaining the manufacturer, coming from a manufacturing from a unit, he will explain part by part what is there, what is troubleshooting, how the preventive maintenance to be done, when there is a small issues, who need to address, how we need to address, what is greasing, what is oiling. So those kind of in detail trainings are done on the job. So that gives them the more information that can be done. For the staff who are working on systems, we cannot have it on the job. We do online trainings. We do a LMS through learning management system. We have implemented learning management system where we drive through few of the trainings which are mandatory to them to learn. So there will be links which will be shared to them, and we ask them to learn mandatory. So they do the trainings and they get the certifications. That's the second part. The third part is we give incentive for the people who gives more, who does more training practice. Some gift vouchers, or so there will be, so they at least they'll be feel interested in doing trainings. We even support people to come up with the courses which they want to learn, which is sponsored by the company. Like I took a certification course in SHR, which is sponsored by company. Someone will come with a course saying that I want a 5S, or I want to do a Kaizen, or I want to do a technical training. We sponsor the company. So we take the self-interest also. Mere paper training programs on paper, it is inevitable that most of the organization will have. I will not say no, nobody will have. Most of them have. I think most of them will comply. Most of them will not comply. But to make them work, we need to concentrate on not disturbing the production, not disturbing the productivity. We need to concentrate doing the trainings on the job than off the job. It's what my understanding.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mohan. And yes, I think what you're saying is very, very relevant. I think that's what today's world of work demands. So whether it's a tractor or a real business challenge and on the job training, it's a lot about creating something that runs stronger than before, and that is where the element of learning by doing. Great. So here I would want to now move to Yashwant. And Yashwant, I'd like to ask you that in the nutrition or the FMCG domain that you operate in, I'm sure you've shared so many examples today, and taking from there, leaders must, understand a lot of elements like R&D, quality, regulatory, supply chain, consumer behavior, of course, as you mentioned. So, looking at all these, how do you design experiential pathways that help leaders traverse these domains?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. So I would like to share an example of my existing organization, Hexagon Nutrition. So 2 years before, one of our chief operating officer, he decided to move on his career path. So being a CXO level position, there was a challenge. A decision was to be taken whether to buy or develop internally. So we used the internal probable successors. The assessment was done amongst them. And then being an operations position, in our scenario, operations includes all the manufacturing plants, which has production. Then we have maintenance, engineering, quality assurance, quality control. These are the various functions which are available existing in the plant. So someone who has to lead entire operations. So after conducting the interviews of the existing plant heads and then the few more people, we identified a person who is heading our quality assurance and quality control function. And then the assessment was done objectively using even additional third-party behavioral experts. All the candidates who were interviewed were given a proper feedback. Who is selected, why selected, someone is not selected, why is not selected. The feedback was also shared. And then a pathway was created for this function because he came with around 15 to 18 years of experience only from quality assurance function. But now we are preparing him for the operations head position. So, as a learning journey, in addition to QA, we gave him additional responsibility of R&D function for initial 6 months, wherein a proper hand-holding was done for him. An external expert was made available who is to interact with him 1 or 2 days in a week, or maybe once in a fortnight, to guide him on R&D function. And then there was a monthly review with the directors to give him feedback how things are going. He has shown a right performance basically in those 6 months. Subsequently, he was given additional role for the plants, which was the main core area for which he was developed. So within a period of 1 year, we could see this person has really rise to the occasion. He demonstrated all those qualities, and then after 1 year of the journey, he was given the role of a chief operating officer. So I think this is how I have really experienced how the internal talent can be developed and grown. And then today he is handling quality assurance, quality control, R&D as well as operations. There are 4 plants in our company. 3 are in India, one is in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. So entire operations is handling flawlessly, and then he is really demonstrating a proper capability as a leader. I think this is how through proper internal systems and processes and investing on people at the right time, I think organization can get the internal solution as well.
Thank you, Yashwant. It also makes me think about an earlier example where you had mentioned that there was a person, when you shared the example of, I think, Dr. Sangram Tamre, where you said that beyond his role, he was given additional responsibilities and he took on those responsibilities. And I think the example that you gave right now also, when a leader had to move out and the organization had to carefully go through a succession process, and after interviews and assessments, choose a person, uh, feedback being provided to everyone. The chosen leader then underwent focused training, right, supported by an expert mentor, as you mentioned. And within a year, this leader was not only able to demonstrate strong performance, but was also entrusted with an additional role. So, an absolute true example of how structured leadership learnings, experiential learnings, where the expert is helping this person, and capability learnings can create confident, future-ready leaders. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And Mohan, I'd like to move to you and ask about the food processing industry. So, in the food processing or the manufacturing context, how are you creating learning by doing opportunities for leaders who may actually come up through operations, but they need to build consumer capabilities, market capabilities, as you also shared, how consumers are evolving, their needs and preferences are evolving, market shifts are happening. So, basis that, how do you create learning by doing opportunities for leaders?
Okay. That's a tough question and a tough task as well for us. See, generally, what happens when we search for leaders, we check few aspects which we look in organization. One is how good he can adapt, how good he can take a decision, how good he can lead. So generally, when we make decision of leadership change, or when we are looking for a high performers, we do a mapping. Every year, we do a management succession planning, where each department we ensure that there is a second line. If something happens to me, it might be opportunity to move out, or opportunity to go to the next level, or to get transferred. We don't. Business is like that. So we ensure that there is a second line who is available, who can take up the job immediately. So those second line, we map whether these people have the skills required to do this job. If not required, what is that we need to fill? Is that communication skills? Is that analytical skills? Is it the PPT presentation skills? What is that this future leaders required? Those aspects where they lack, we give them the opportunity to learn. We put them to a training program. We for 1 or 2 days in a structured way where they learn. The first thing. The second thing, as a group, we have Live for Life, where we have a short-term projects. We send these hippos, high performers, to those factories in Switzerland and France, where they get hands-on experience on the process. What is that they are doing, which we are not able to do it? What is the best practice they are doing, which can be adapted here? So those kind of experience we generally give to them, so that they learn from those operations and bring back to us and implement. When we choose leaders need to be accepted. It's not cannot be a management decision to choose one. Leaders need to be accepted by all stakeholders, like your production, your maintenance, your HR, finance, marketing, costing. There are a number of stakeholders who are running around the leader, and leader will be in the center. Whether the leader is accepted first. If you There was a practical example which I faced. We promoted one of the supervisor who was working as supervisor to assistant manager. When we promoted them as assistant manager level, the people who are working with them as supervisors, they didn't treat him as a leader. They treat him as a colleague. This hampered him to take decisions because now the colleagues who are working, now we need to control them. When he wants to control, this people is not able to control him because he has worked as colleague from so many years. Those kind of scenarios will come up in organization. Whether we are ready, whether this leader is able to take those roles is where we evaluate. So we do a structured framework. We put him to a MSP. Once MSP is done, we put him to a structured model where we select 360-degree feedback. We take the concurrence of each stakeholders, with asking them whether this is the decision, whether you are aligned or not aligned. If you're not aligned, what is the reason of not aligned? So those kind of conversations generally we make before developing or before promoting a person to the leadership role.
Great. Thank you, Mohan. I think you're talking about how you are conducting management succession planning, a structured succession planning exercise, where the second line of leaders is identified, their skill gaps are carefully assessed, and then those gaps are turned into opportunities for learning and growth for them. High potential talent is then also assigned, like you said, to short-term experiential projects, giving them hands-on exposure and preparing them to seamlessly step into larger roles. And yes, this is something which is very, very important and critical. It's a great, example of you creating learning by doing opportunities for leaders who may come up through many other roles and functions like operations, but they are now ready and more prepared for the next role. Yes, thank you, Mohan. Yashwant, I'd like to move to you and ask a question. That you worked with the greenfield setups and plant expansions,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Yes. So coming from there and taking this question, building on this question from there, what lessons from those pioneering hands-on experiences are relevant for building leadership in an FMCG context?
Yeah, I will share example of Hiromoto Corp, where I joined them as head of HR for the Center of Innovation and Technology, which is at Jaipur. At that time, it was a greenfield project nearing completion when I joined. But one of the major tasks was to relocate 600 employees from NCR region to Jaipur. We are hardly talking about relocating to 150 or 200 kilometers away from your current location. But there was a huge resistance for that, basically, because over a period they have stayed in either Gurgaon or Dharuhera or Nimrana or other location, and now we are asking them to shift to Jaipur. There are multiple implications to family, the children education, spouse job, all the challenges were there. Okay, so what we did was almost for 6 months. We took the family members of the employees from NCR thrice in a week to Jaipur in air conditioned buses. The old age parents, their spouses, their children, we took them to Jaipur as a tour, shown them the site where the R&D center is getting set up, took them to the city, shown them Jaipur forts and all the nearby places, took them to the schools, show them market, schools, education, everything, entire tour, and then bring them back to NCR, wherever the location. So this was a 6-month continuous process where all the family members of the employees were taken to give them confidence where exactly the movement is going to happen. That is number one. Number two, we engage an external agency to engage the spouses of all the employees, because these locations, these decisions are driven by spouses emotionally, if you look at it. So there was a spouse club which was formed, and those all spouses were engaged continuously. A lot of engagement activities were done for them. We help them to train them how to prepare their resume, how to conduct, how to appear for an interview. We made them interact with the various recruitment agencies in Jaipur, where they can look for career options, they can look for jobs. All these things were done. In spite of all these efforts, almost 35 senior leaders expressed their uh, willingness not to shift to Jaipur. Almost 37 leaders expressed they are not ready to shift to Jaipur. It was a mammoth exercise to speak to them, counsel them, explain them, train them, and then I will say with the satisfaction and pride that out of 37, 34 people finally agreed to move. Now, what was in store for them if they shift? Almost 30 to 40% rise in compensation and 3 months basic as a relocation allowance and all possible supports, all these attractive things. But then again, in the process, we lost almost 8 to 20% of the talent. Okay, but then the last phase of it was shifting 600 families within 45 days, 1st November to 15 November to 31st of December 2015. I'm talking about. It's a peak period in Jaipur. It's a tourist location. It's a peak period in Jaipur, and you have to provide 2 weeks of continuous accommodation for the entire families. So I think I have not left a single hotel in Jaipur. I might not have visited personally. And then balancing the entire process, shifting them to Jaipur, keeping them for 15 days in a hotel, helping them to finalize their house, relocating their all belongings to that place, making their school admission. The entire process was a mammoth exercise, and that which we could complete. And then I think this was a big experience in terms of how to really manage a change project, I will say. And all the leadership team played a very crucial role in the entire process. There used to be a fortnight review for the entire things, and all department heads, functional heads took the responsibility to convince their own team for the possible relocation. I think that was a continuous teamwork which has really helped us to succeed, and we could shift the entire people to Jaipur. I think this was one big experience in terms of a complete change management, and in which the leadership played a very crucial role.
Thank you, Yashwant. I think that was a great example also, because this is where, leadership actually comes into the picture. It's actually a hands-on experience for, leaders in the FMCG context to be able to really build on and understand and then actually implement. It's all about execution, how to go about it. And I think the way you have described what all you went through, you and your team, to be able to achieve the final result of helping people move, because that was the need of the hour, truly sets that example. Thank you for that, Yashwant. And Mohan, I would like to come to you here for a question that I have. That is pretty straightforward here, that many mid-sized FMCG or food processing organizations may not have large budgets for big leadership academies.
Yes.
So, what are the kind of low cost yet high impact experiential learning formats that you have found effective?
Okay. Okay. Yes, it's a challenging. Getting a budget for it is obviously challenging for a mid size organization. But still, we are most of them they will spend when it's matter of upskilling of the resource. Generally, what we do when we have a challenge with a budget, we look for the resource who are skilled enough to train the other people. When we want to do Excel training, we look for a resource who is well versed with Excel. We bring them on board. We ask them to train. we identify the resource who are capable of getting trained. We send them external. We get them trained. Ask them to come and train. We promote cross-functional trainings. A quality guy or a production guy will train other department with the other the operational requirement. We anyhow we have the LMS which is on board which we are doing. When this is what we adapt. We try to mobilize the resources which are in-house. We ensure that these people are being trained to train the others. We optimize those people to give the maximum training. Like a quality guy will give a training on the quality systems that is required for the operations. A HR guy will give a training on the people related aspects which is required by the other department. A financial guy will give a training on the financial aspect which is required by few of the managers. Those identification, proper utilization of the resource, ensuring that people are skilled to train others. That is where we play an important part, and we ensure that this is done. And once these resources are trained, we ensure that these resources are used periodically. It's not that one time we use it and we leave it. We ask them to do trainings every quarter, half yearly one, like that we do it. This is how we adapt with the available budget. But generally, it's like if you have heard of a word saying that there is a budget which is allocated, but we fail to utilize. So in FMDs, this happens very often.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Mohan. And yes, you're very, very right in sharing the statements that you have. Because this is something that we have to be very, very careful many a times when it is about cost, with reference to what we are doing and how are we maintaining it. Like you said, you get internal people upskilled, you help, you get them trained, you help them to train others. It also brings me to an example of mentoring or buddy coaching, as it is called, in the training industry. So yes, those come out to be very very helpful and very beneficial. With that, I think we are moving to one last question for our fireside chat with our HR leaders here. And Yashwant, I'd like to ask you that with the increasing focus on health and wellness consumers in your sector, how do you design and craft experiential experiences so that the emerging leaders are able to make agile decisions among speed, innovation, cost, and compliance?
Yeah, the way we do it is basically by forming cross-functional teams on all the key and critical projects the organization takes up. Currently, in our Nasik manufacturing plant, we are undergoing a major change in terms of it's a reasonably old plant. So one of the building we are going to dismantle and come up with a totally new building with an additional capacity and then with additional product manufacturing processes actually. So in this is just an example. So we really form a cross-functional team from relevant people, okay, and then they drive this entire process, and they are guided by the leadership team. For example, there is a core management committee which the project team works on the actual project. They are guided and reviewed by the core management committee, which are the functional heads. So that on one hand, we are empowering them to go ahead and execute the things, plan and execute the things. At the same time, we are ensuring that they are not really going out of control or beyond the tolerances in terms of the organizational budget and other requirements. And then there is an element of appreciation also. We challenge them in terms of the timelines and resources, basically. And if they are able to complete the phase one, phase two in a before the given time, they are rewarded through incentives and appreciations by the management. I think this is one way we are trying to put up this culture, and then linking it also to appreciation, so that more and more people, when the people find someone else working on a project and being appreciated, so they also get inspired and they come up for such initiatives. This is just one example I thought I will share with.
Sure. Thank you for that wonderful example, Yashwant. Moving to Mohan.
Yes.
Mohan, one very interesting question again here for you is that for emerging leaders in FMCG who must make agile decisions, what do you think are the top three mindsets that you emphasize on? And how do you embed or help embed those mindsets through real experiences?
So leaders, yes. Three main thing. One is you need to have a good listening first. As a leader, you need to listen first. Don't react without listening the complete story of an individual. Open for feedback. It can be constructive feedback, but you need to do it. And you need to be open for continuous learning. You must not restrict saying that this is my portfolio, I will not go beyond this. No. You need to step out of your comfort zone and learn whatever things comes to your way. The third is you need to be a customer oriented mindset. Customer is the king. He buys the product, you are getting the salary. If he doesn't price the product, we don't get the salary. So customer orientation is very important mindset an emerging leader need to have. So because of them, we are here. Simple.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mohan. Thank you so much, Yashwant. And before we actually end, I'd like to conclude this by asking you one last question, right? And this is again a quick, common question that I have for both of you. Since we have been talking about experiential learning, right? And culture is a factor which is common across all industries, all organizations, right? I'd like to understand that how are you in your respective organizations ensuring that the experience is aligning to the business and cultural priorities?
Actually, I think I couldn't hear the question completely in between. I lost your voice basically. So maybe you can just quickly repeat.
Sure, I can do that. My question is that how do you, in your respective organizations, make sure that experience is aligning to the business and cultural priorities?
Okay, yeah. So in our organization, there's a simple care philosophy. We call it for our culture. So it is aligned with all the HR processes basically. For example, my interview selection process also have a last question whether the person is aligned with the care culture philosophy. In training need assessment form, there is a mandatory entry the manager has to do for all his team that what exactly is going to provide training on culture for your team in this particular year. Even PMS, when we look at the qualitative assessment, which is more on competencies, one of the competencies basically alignment with the organizational culture. What are the examples the individual has demonstrated during the period under assessment, and whether there was a demonstration or not, alignment or not. So every aspect of HR, the culture is linked to it, and then people are developed, people are assessed, people are rewarded and appreciated on that. I think this is one way. And then good part is the leaders take a genuine interest in terms of when my assessment director, he definitely asked me.
I think we are losing Yashwant and we've lost him for some time. Sorry, Yashwant, we could not hear you for some time. It would be great if you could repeat the last few statements. Okay, in the meantime, Mohan, if we could have you help us understand the same.
It's culture.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, Yashwant.
Yeah, am I audible now?
You are audible.
Hello. Okay, so what I was explaining that all the HR processes we are. Am I audible?
Please go on. Yes, please go on. Okay, Yashwant, I think we've lost you again. What we'll do, Yashwant, is we'll hear from Mohan in the meantime.
Sure. Yeah, I will reconnect. Yeah.
Yes, Mohan, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No problem. See, culture is a big word. It cannot be explained in 2 sentences. See, generally we practice in our version, we practice a transparency culture. We don't hide anything from anyone. Everything is accessible. It can be agile policies, it can be a little bit of financials, not all financials. But we encourage people to have those details with them, With that culture, we try to build leadership confidence within the leaders, It can be developmental programs. It can be like, we have a simulation exercise, we have a crisis management workshop where we ensure the leaders are exposed to those kind of real situations. It can be community gestures or a community projects where we expose those leaders to go to the communities, understand the issues, and do some CSRs. It can product-based projects where you are engaged with the R&D department, understanding the difficulties of giving the new product or analyzing the customer requirement. It can be a culture of, I can say, the constructive feedback which you take. It's not that you are hearing something from anyone. You need to observe whatever the feedback comes to you. It can be recognition, which can be formal or informal. Pat, you just tap on the pad when you do a good work. You need to reward, you need to recognize, you need to ensure the people are confident enough or comfort enough around you to express their views. It is not like you are treated as a boss, you are treated as a leader. Those kind of culture, those kind of culture is very much important. We need to inculcate into the organization where these leaders are being taken care and they groom to the next level. The the main thing is the learning. Learning part is that when you are open enough to learn, when you are open enough to take the knowledge, it's not you restricting yourself that you are saying that I'm already learned. I'm gone to certain department where I'm leading department, I will not learn. You need to have open mind saying that this whatever the learning opportunity comes by, I'll take it. I'll learn it. So those kind of culture need to be inculcated in the system where we can ensure that the leaders or the future leaders for the business can be developed.
Absolutely. Very well put, Mohan. And thank you so much for your insightful thoughts on this. And with that, I would really like to thank both our Fireside Chat members, Yashwant and Mohan, for sharing such rich insights with us. I think what really stands out from today's discussion is that how the FMCG sector brings experiential learning to life, whether it's understanding the pulse of the consumer, learning by doing in real market settings, or preparing future leaders through hands-on projects. It's a reminder that true capability does not really come from the classroom alone, but from experiences that challenge, stretch, and shape us. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining in. It has been a truly engaging, enriching, and a thought-provoking session.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you.